Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. You see how you always have a crack at me for being late? Well, today I'm early. I thought I'd started 3 minutes early to keep you all on your toes, keep you all guessing for a little change, switch it up, the old switcheroo, which is just what Tottenham Hotspur have done, as they dangled you a little bit of, I don't know, a Richalison, maybe a Brennan Johnson as our first signing. No, nothing like a good old-fashioned meltdown that is absolutely sure to ensue very, 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 very near in the future when Mathys is officially announced as our first signing. And it's going to be 30 million euros, or it's going to be 25 million pound with a loan fee. A loan fee. But listen, I want to get your thoughts on it because you know how I feel. I think there's a baller and I'm more than happy. What I'm less happy about, if I'm entirely honest, is the other news of the day, which is that Manuel Solomon's going to come back and show his form. He's going to show his form. Is that right? Paul French, is he on 205 grand a week? If I haven't seen that decision yet, I haven't seen that. And if it's true, then I'll tick the box. I promised you all a new club's highest earner. Rat-a-ta-ta. I'm always coming up with the juice. The goods are always there. Welcome, everybody. How are we doing? I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things you love, and those you have to do them with. It's Saturday. Hope your Saturday and your weekend is treating you nice. There's 200 people in the house straight out of the bat. We love to see it. Can you do me a little favouroo? Smash the granny out of the like button like you always do. Straight off the rocker. Smash the like button for me. Take your shoes off. Grab yourself a beer or a cider or a cup of tea or an orange juice. I don't know. I don't care. If it was up to me, I'd be putting a bit of vodka in your orange juice, but it's okay. Is the juice worth the squeeze on Mathys? Is the juice of the squeeze worth even looking at for Manuel Solomon? And if those two are coming back, what the devil does that mean for our big signings that we got lined up in that particular area of the park? Richalison, Semenyo, and how about a little bit of a Brennan Johnson? As I said in today's morning walks, which is completely out of date now, completely out of date. But I said that, you know, there might be a little bit more to the Brennan Johnson story. Like Goldbridge et al. Are all saying, "Oh, come off it. This is Manchester United. Why would Brennan Johnson turn down Arsenal and Newcastle to come to Tottenham?" Well, if I'm entirely honest, you can make the same argument for Manchester United. You know, you're on the floor, Mark. Your club is on the floor. It's in the pits. It's an embarrassment. You're in court. Tottenham are about to win their 5th victory against you in 12 months. And then the 6th if we do steal Brennan Johnson. Micro wins galore. We're going to talk about the Ineos thing. We're going to talk about Mathys. We're going to talk about Manuel Solomon. We're going to talk about old man Ange Postecoglou going over towards Saudi. Gee whiz. He don't mind, does he? He don't mind. And taking Sonny and Richalison and Bissouma with him. We shall see. We shall see. Got lots to talk about, guys. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe, smash the notification bell, and drop some comments. By the way, also, I've been pushing this, and I need you guys to help me out a little bit here. I always forget to tell you that if you are someone that enjoys podcast format, even if you enjoy the video format, but you just rather not watch it on your phone with your YouTube app open because you know you can't do other things as soon as you close it. Well, these videos, even the video format, are going to be on Spotify. They are on Spotify. The link is in the description. And then the audio stuff is going to be on Apple and Amazon and all that other good stuff. So if you are interested in that stuff, then take a swig and smash the follow button. Link in the description. I'm going to be putting the link out to my man in a second, Drewzilla, who's coming on for a chin wag. In fact, let me do that whilst I'm talking to you. But we got lots to talk about. A hell of a lot to talk about. Because it is Saturday. Let me just get, where is my link? Here he is, Drewzilla. Give me 2 seconds, guys. StreamYard.com/. Sorry, guys. 1 second. I'm completely behind the skin here. 876. And there we go. There we go. Let's have a look and see. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what's going on. I want to get everyone. In fact, let me put a little poll out. I want to find out what your thoughts are. I'm going to get this a bit closer to my face as well. It seems a bit muffled. Polski. Start a poll. Are you happy with Mathys Tel or forget the Euro thing. There it is. Yes or no. There we go. I reckon you're all going to say no, and I can't wait to mud you. I can't wait to mud you all when he becomes a worldie, because I think the guy's going to be an awesome player in a Brentford system. I think he's going to be tidy off the left. And I think he can play in that 2-man up top thing if necessary. If Richarlison's leaving, though, there's bigger news there to worry about. If Richarlison's going to Saudi, then what happens? Does that mean we're going to go for a striker as well? Is Brennan Johnson the targeted man that can do a little bit of both? Is Mathys Tel going to replace Richarlison? And that frees up a little bit of cashish for what we really need to do, which is obviously to bring in a winger of top draw quality. But for me, guys, I go back to this same thing. I've been saying it, and I will continue to say it. Everybody that didn't want Mathys Tel, a lot of you wanted Solomon. You also were calling for Micky Moore to get more minutes last season just finished. And you want 1/2 forwards to come in, one that can play a 10 and play off the left, one that can play off the right. So you're not happy with the wingers that we have. You've now got Mathys Tel in all likelihood. It's not, even though I've said it's to tell Spurs to tell it's done. It's basically done. I'm going to get up the stories in a second, and I'm going to get up the stories right now, and then I'm going to pivot into the share screen. What we doing here? Let's get my Twitter up. And then let's see what's crack-a-lacking. I'm going to come and say hello to the chat. Here's the first story. That's not it. That's not the first story. What am I doing here? Come on, Butler. You're better than that. Here we go. The Tottenham are closing in. Close to agreeing a deal for Mathys Tel. The deal will be for around 35 million. Sorry, it was 30 million plus a 5 million thing. The current plan, according to Spurs Web, is for Manor Solomon to remain at Tottenham this season. Thomas Frank likes what he sees and wants to check him out in training, says Sasha Tavolieri. I mean, what are we doing here? There's also a story from 3 hours ago from Ornstein. David Ornstein. Al Ali make contact with Ange Postecoglou about becoming the head coach. And with it, according to reports, we're looking at Richarlison, Sonny, and Bissouma going with it. We have to talk about that. We're going to talk about all that stuff right now. Let me just see what's in the chat here. Solomon and Tel stay. What a start to a transfer window. Oh, Tarek, you know it, mate. You know it makes sense, buddy. I can get on board for that for 30 milski. It wasn't 30 million euros. But 35 million euros, 28 million quid. Whatever. Thanks for coming in and bursting my bubble, though, Ash. Does this mean Mbumo's not coming? Really hope not. I really hope that there's separate conversations. I really hope it just means that there's separate conversations. Rasatata, nothing new, ha ha, says Marshall. Worrying times for us next season. Oh, stop it. First of all, Mathys Tel is a baller. He is a baller. You're wrong. I know everyone thinks I'm wrong, but you are wrong. He played in a system and a team that had completely abdicated the throne of responsibility. And every single week, he put in a shift. Every single week, he went after it. You can't do it all yourself. He is a real talent. 25, 30 million pound. It really isn't the end of the world. He's 21. He's 19 years old. Sorry, 19. People are writing him off like he's rubbish. What are we doing here? What are we doing? He's a good player. He's got good little chemistry as well with Wilson Odobert. Wilson! And I think he's going to thrive, and I can't wait. I've got receipts on all the creators. I've got receipts on everyone. And I know they're going to have receipts on me because I'm the only person that's standing up for the boy. But that's fine. That's fine. I'll stand to task on this one. Tel meltdown incoming, says Brian. Nothing like a good old-fashioned meltdown. Nothing like a good old-fashioned meltdown. Alex Gonzalez, Jesus Christ, it smells just like last season. Timo 2.0. Mate, what are we doing here? We got Drew Zilla in the house as well. How you doing, Drewski? Good to see you, mate. Can't hear you, mate. You're on mute. Sort it out, buddy. You're on mute. No, I'm prepared.
There he is.
There he goes. Hello, mate. How are you?
Loading. Loading.
Bit old spinneroo.
The old spinneroo. I'm doing all right.
Tell for 30 million quid. What are we saying here?
What are we doing? I've been having a little meltdown all morning. I woke up. The first thing I thought was, what are we doing? What are we doing? I'm a bit all over the place, Sean. Tell for 30 million.
It's early for you, isn't it? It's like 9 o'clock in the morning or something, right?
It's 9:45, but I've had a cheeky little. I've been sitting outside. It's already 25 degrees in English money. It's about to be 30 degrees today, so it's fantastic sitting outside with my feet up, basking in the glory of His Majesty.
His Majesty the Sun.
Yeah.
Mate, are we? I mean, it's nothing like Tottenham fans to melt down about anything, right?
Right.
And
Yeah,
on a hot day like it is today, but no time like the present to have a meltdown. But are we guilty here of overreacting? Because I mean, how do you feel about Mathys Tel?
It's really hard to say, right? Because if you want to afford him the similar sort of luxury that Berghvall had, or Berghvall, then he's not really had a chance to hit the ground. Like, he had no games at Bayern, especially not this year. He played all right last year, but he came to us with basically zero football in his legs. So even more so than Berghvall. So it was going to take him longer to get going.
Context, mate. No one likes context in a meltdown.
Oh, no, God knows. I don't know, man. I think I've seen enough to be intrigued by him. I certainly wouldn't want to pay 55, 60. I was always of the mind that if we could get him for another loan, see how he develops over the course of another year and see where it goes from there, maybe put him a bit more of an obligation for around 30, I'd have been all right. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little bit more concerned with the bigger picture, Sean. I was having a little discussion yesterday, and do you mind if I can ask you a question?
Yeah, please do.
All right. What would Ange had to have achieved? Let's say the Europa League was nailed on and we were going to win it anyway, and we won it. At what position in the league would he have had to have finished to have been afforded next season? Like, would he have had to have finished fifth anyway, or could he have gotten away with finishing 7th or 8th? And you know, 100%. instead of 22 losses, we're looking at, I don't know, in 3 more wins and 4 more draws would have gotten up to 7th or 8th place. Yeah. Right. So, based on that, on injured players,
you're still saucy about the Ange decision.
It's not so much being saucy about Ange. I'm more concerned with the fact that if we're basing this decision on the fact that he didn't get 15 more points in the league, and you're going on the basis that you were going to have 15 to 20 more points, if you'd have strengthened in the summer and you'd have allowed the situation to have gone again. Based on what I'm hearing is the remit for next year, which is being competitive, doesn't even mean winning anything, just being competitive, a good run in the league, top half, and getting somewhere half decent in the Champions League. People have already sacked off the domestic cups. So I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, you're telling me that we've gone through all of this change, and the fact is, if the guy had got 15 more points and we'd have gone again, it just seems like a hell of a lot of a change when that was the difference, right? Do you see what I'm sort of getting at? Like, you're now handing over to.
But when you say only get 15 or 20 more points, we only got 38 points all fucking season.
But do you not think that this squad is better than what it was? Because I keep on getting told that this squad could have finished top half.
100%.
So if we go into next season fitter, buying players that we were going to buy anyway to better the squad, I'm just sitting here thinking that maybe, given what I'm hearing is the remit for next year, it seems like a hell of a thing to change. I don't know, dude. I really hope it. Yeah.
Hang on. Wait. Ange Postecoglou didn't change anything all season until he realised that his job and reputation was on the line. And then to save his own skin and his personal brand, mate, he's fucking useless. He's useless as a tactician.
You got all the way. You've got your needles gone all the way to he's fucking useless.
He is useless as a tactician, mate. Like if you've got 2 gears, right, 100 miles an hour or reverse, which is all that he did in the League Cup. In the Europa League, he stuck it in reverse, parked the bus, okay, and then broke and got. And he wouldn't be able to do that in the Champions League. No chance, right? That would get picked off by PSG doing that. And all the other version that we saw in the league, the only reason he changed, mate, was because he realised, he would never admit it, but he realised that he got completely found out at the top level. He was not the guy. He was a bullshit artist who he's so lucky that he gets to swan off into the sunset, off to Saudi to pick up 10 million a year or whatever he's going to get paid, right? Where he still has, he's leaving half the fan base behind who believe that he's some fucking martyr. He's not. He's just shit and out of his depth. Mate, it's the right decision. As painful as it is to say it because he lifted the trophy.
All right.
If you are, I'm not aiming this at you, right? But if you were Ange out and you were Levy out and then you became Ange in because of the momentary cup win, then you have to have that same energy for Daniel Levy. But people don't because it doesn't suit. It's a deeper narrative, a deeper agenda. But people that are Ange in now, that were Ange out 2 weeks ago, that tell you that you're wrong because you haven't changed your mind like they have, fraudulent mindsets. That's all it is. It's a fraudulent mindset. And I'm
all right. You convinced me. I'll forget about it. Do you know? I just. Like, I guess it's more for me. I get my concern comes from, like I said, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate with myself because I agree the guy probably needed to go. But there's a part of me in my head that's just thinking if we're making this change based on a difference of possibly 15, 20 points and really not having to achieve anything next year except for be better than this year. Because like I say, that tends to be what the remit is. Like nobody expects us to win the league. Nobody expects us to win the Champions League. The FA Cup and the Carabao Cup aren't really important anymore because people want to be in the Champions League. They'll take the Europa League. Like it's just like I just feel like all of a sudden we've had a taste and we're forgetting where we were last year, and now we all think we're at the promised land again. And I just think we need to rein it in just a tad.
We were where we were because we had a bozo in charge who he didn't know what he was doing at this level, mate. It's like when you've been like hanging around in a meat market and you managed to go home from like a bar in Bas Vegas with a 6 out of 10, and next week your mates take you out to Mayfair, right? And you go into one of those clubs in Mayfair and there's 9 out of 10 models that are looking for sugar daddies, and you think you've got a chance in that sort of environment when you can barely afford a vodka and orange for yourself. And you see, this is what Ange was doing, mate. Ange Postecoglou is the geezer down the pub who picks up a sloppy 6, and then the next week he's hanging around in the Premier League being the Mayfair bars, mate. He's out of his depth.
Celtic's a sloppy 6, ladies and gentlemen. Celtic, the sloppy 6. So what?
And by the way, Drew, by the way, every analogy in life, every story, every situation in life can be, you can use the analogy of going out and pulling a bird. It works in every way, shape, or form.
Very true. Very true. Oh, mate. Well, yeah.
What are you saying about Mathys Tell?
I think it would be a player. I think there was a guy that just mentioned it in the chat there. I think it's a player that Thomas Frank would probably like to at least see. I mean, he's got pace. He's got good feet. I think he offers a little bit more than. I mean, it's hard to say, but there have been glimpses, I think, and especially if you watch highlight reels, which I know have a tendency to, floss up people. But I think he can be aggressive on his day. When he's really up for it, he's up for it. Although having said that, I saw him in the under-21s for France with Udogie the other day, and they didn't really set the world alight. But then he's also young, and like I say, he's not had much football. It's been a long season. It's probably... I don't know. I'd be quite happy with him, to be honest with you, dude. Oh, there he goes, Tom. Very happy with Tell. Yeah, I'd be happy with him for the price and for what you have to pay for talent nowadays. It's what we've pissed up the wall a lot more for a lot worse.
25 million quid,
right?
25 million quid, so 35 million, 28 million quid. Now, we did overpay on the loan fee for sure. We did.
Yeah.
And I hear the argument that send him back, go and get Paulinho or you know, to a lesser extent, a Kim Min-jae or whatever, use the money differently or make Bayern Munich pay us that money because we can do other things. If it wasn't for the fact that there's all these kind of connotations and like, you know, things that you just context we're not necessarily sure of around the conditions and all those sorts of things, for me, I would just say that hang on, Tottenham have submitted a new bid. Oh, I think that's an old one. I was going to say for Brennan Johnson. The extension of it, right? Here's I don't if there was nothing else on the table, I would be 100% behind it. The only reason that I'm a little like there's part of me that needs to chew this over with the chat with yourself. By the way, there's 1,000 people here, guys, on a Saturday afternoon. Love to see it. You know what you got to do: smash the like, hit the subby, and get down into the Spotify links as well. Also, find Football Inc. down there and get over there and hit the subscribe over there. We've got 103 voted so far. Is that? Oh, that was 20 minutes ago. I'm going to find out what that vote looks. The connotations, Drew, are around squad spaces. We do have now officially, if it's all done with Mathys Tel, we've got Tel, we've got Sonny, we've got Richalison, we have Decky, we have Moore, Jamie Donnelly has played on the wing, we have Odebear, we have Solomon, who we're going to come to in a minute, right? We have Johnson, James Maddison's done a shift out there. And there's someone else I'm forgetting as well. And Decky, I'm not sure if I said Decky. We've got 11 wingers at the football club. 11 plus a JA, right? That's 12. And Tottenham people still want us to get Eze and Mbeumo. How are we going to squeeze them all in? What's going on here? Oh, you're on mute again. You've gone on mute. Or is it me? Hang on. Oh, it's appeared. Hang about. Split screen. Am I on mute or is that he's back? Let's have a look. Yeah, you're back now, mate. There we go. I can hear you.
Sorry, mate.
It's all right. What are we doing here? So what are we doing with those 11 wingers? We're going to open up a Nando's store. Can you hear me?
Oh, no.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can people hear me?
There we go. Sorry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Sorry, my phone was trying to connect to everything. I've thrown it up the wall. It's all good.
Oh,
yeah, I was. I went out last night and I popped into Dave's Hot Chicken, and they actually asked me if they could have a couple of our wingers because they were running out. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, obviously, a couple of them got to go out again. I really, really want to see Donnelly given a chance. I think there's something about that kid that is a little bit special, even more so for me, honestly, than Mikey Moore. But I think maybe that's just because Donnelly's been able to go out and sort of play a bit more men's football and obviously more minutes, more highlights, more headlines. I think, obviously, I feel like Hugh's going to go out again. I can't see him really vying for first place spots. If we're honest, I love Sonny to bits. But I'm with you. I think he needs to sort of sunset it. I think the best way to go out is going to be trophy. Go and get yourself a big payday somewhere, even though you probably don't need it. The problem with the squad, I don't want to be in a position where we're going into next season. We've still got Sonny, but he's not been put in the Champions League squad or something ridiculous like that just because of the numbers. Do you know what I mean? So I just think fresh start all round. So yeah, I would give, based on what we need elsewhere, I can see a scenario. Frank's already waxed lyrical about Bentancur and Bissouma at various points. It's not just the one press conference. There's been a couple of times where I've seen him speak about them. I can see him, at least for the first part of, he's going to at least give it a week in training and give these people the eyeball and see. I could see a scenario where he might say, look, if we've got X amount of money to spend, then let me persevere with Bentancur and Bissouma in a double pivot. And because I'd rather spend a chunk of money here because I think we could influence the team more if we did that. I mean, he's a very clever guy. He's going to look He's going to look at that squad, and he's probably already done it. He's probably already assessed in his mind. He's probably got an idea of what he wants to do. He's probably got numbers to back it up, and I think he just needs to give it the eye test. So I could see probably a couple of weeks training, and then maybe we could sort of see some more movement. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Mbeumo's a done deal or close to a done deal. I could see maybe that being possibly. I mean,
I think there's more to it, mate. I genuinely, like United fans going, why is he going to go to Tottenham? He's already turned down Arsenal and Newcastle. Well, if that's the case, why would he go to Manchester United? By that logic, do they really think that United's a bigger draw than Arsenal? Do me a favour. As much as that kills me to say it, do me a favour. You finished 16th in the league and you won sod all. You're a massive team on the decline. Arsenal have got a better manager, a better squad, got a higher likelihood of winning anything, and they're playing in the Champions League. So if they're going to use that logic to try and bash us, use that logic to bash yourself. Punch yourself in the face, Mark Goldrich. With all due respect, I love Mark. I think he's very good. But give yourself one of those. And I'm sitting there going, well, actually, more than that, mate. Daniel Levy knows that United have bid 65 and had it rejected. He knows what Mbeumo wants to earn, and yet he still entered conversations and allegedly has bid more money. And Manchester United, according to reports, are not going to bid more for him than they did for Cunha.
Right.
For whatever reason. It might be just on a principle basis, or it might be because of a covenant. It might be a rule. It might be something to do with you can't spend X amount of money or whatever in the same spot in the same season or whatever. I don't know, but
right.
So, to me, I'm sitting there thinking that, why would Daniel Levy have done that, and why would that sort of story leak unless there was some sort of merit to it potentially happening?
Yeah, I was watching. Have you seen Alice? Her video. She's a Manchester United supporter, but she does videos breaking down multiple or all the other teams. She's really good. And she put out a video yesterday and she was sort of saying, the noise, kind of ignore the noise. She apparently knows a couple of people that are saying that he's basically just waiting on Manchester United to try and figure it out because he's a Man United supporter and ultimately he would rather go there. But I'm with you. Everything, not only is it a declining club, I don't see how, I thought we were bad. I don't see how they get back to where they were. I think they're in so much of a decline. I don't know, man. I think they're, the supporter numbers are a little bit warped. So if you've ever been up to the north of England, these vans pull up and the parents get out. There's about 25 kids. I reckon that's why there's so many Manchester United supporters. They have to be. The parents are just like, stick on the shirt, you're Manchester United. Do you know what I mean? I think there's not really that many supporters.
A bit Liverpool fan-esque, mate. Be careful.
Got to be careful. Yeah, but I think there's
some Man United fans in it. By the way, Mathys Cunha, you can bid 70 million, but as long as Mbeumo wants our 60 million pound bid is valid.
Whatever.
Not really, because it takes three things to happen for a transfer to go through. The player needs to want to join, but the club that's selling needs to accept the bid, and they've rejected your bid. They've rejected you. So maybe if United come and find an extra 10 million, but according to reports, United aren't going to bid more than they paid for Cunha, and Tottenham have already offered more money. And apparently Mbeumo's not, he would prefer to join United, which is fine, by the way. It's fine. I've got no problem with that. You can always have a preference, but joining Tottenham is not necessarily the end of the world for him, is it?
I don't think so. How old is he? 25, 26?
27.
Oh,
26,
really?
27, yeah.
Well, I guess maybe. Yeah, I don't want to say it's his last big deal, but I guess if you take Saudi into account, it's his second to last big deal, right? He's going to go somewhere, and then he's either going to extend at that place or he's off. So, it's probably. I just think it's easy to say if I was in his shoes because I'm a Tottenham supporter, but if you try and take yourself out of it. Do you, like you said, do you want the club? Do you want to go to the club? I know the name and everything, blah, 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 but the club that's languishing in 16th and won nothing, or do you want to go to somewhere where you're going to be comfortable? You're still in London. The only thing I can think of is he's tired of Thomas Frank's voice, but I can't really see that being a thing. I think, and I think it benefits Thomas Frank to have some sort of general on the field because I guess my concern with Frank, I love the idea of Frank. I want it to work absolutely. He gives me Pochettino vibes. I'm excited. My concern is the fact that he's never done game day, recovery day, training day, travel day, game day, recovery day, training day, travel day. He wants his teams to be able to equip themselves to do multiple things. And he's thus far had 4, 5, 6 days per week to implement those things. He's going to need to do a hell of a lot of work in pre-season, and these guys are going to have to be sharp and they're going to have to pick it up. And what better way of being able to do that than draft in an Mbumo, and then maybe another, not even to play first 11, but possibly sit on the bench to basically instill what Frank needs. He doesn't even necessarily need to be the captain, but he's Frank's general. And if it's Mbumo, then he can do, the right wing, the striker, he can play on the left, and he can tell basically everybody in a line with him this way and this way. Like, he can sort of give them guidance. This is what you need to be doing. This is where you need to be. So I can absolutely understand the desire to want to go for him. And if you have to pay another 10 million premium to get over the line to get him, to make sure that we get off the ground, we hit the ground running, then I say absolutely do it. Because
I think so
if you start to not follow through on the promises, and you don't back him, and we end up with another couple of 20-year-olds and a 28-year-old that nobody really fancies, then it's going to be one of those, and it's going to be, what are we doing? We're doing it again.
Yeah, we probably are going to do it again, but I genuinely do believe that Tottenham are going to surprise to the upside. I said that in a video I did this morning. Just quickly, you know how you can get a vibe from a comment not knowing someone's particular stance? So it makes sense. Your questionnaire is misleading. It's not 30 million euros, it's more. Therefore, ergo, vis-a-vis, ipso facto, the following. Your 63% vote, which I'm guessing is talking about the poll that I put out, which we'll check in a minute, is not valid. I was like, maybe there's some truth to that, but he's probably coming at this from the point of, I don't really fancy Mathys Tel. And then, who is it? Nah, tell us a flipping rip-off. I'm so gutted. Don't give your game away, makes sense. Like, keep us all guessing a little bit. I think I know which way you voted. Let's find out. Right now, there's 700 votes in that poll. 65% are happy with Mathys Tel. I don't think it would change meaningfully if I had an extra 5 million euros to that. Do you, mate?
Nah. What's this? Spurs fan John in the chat saying Fabrizio Romano saying 35 plus 5 plus the 10 million loan fee.
Yeah, we factored that in before, didn't we? Otherwise, that was for last season. We're not counting that stuff. We're not counting.
And then, so can't you then at that point call it a 50 million transfer, amortize it over 5 years, pay 10 million a year? Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Happy days. Let's go.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. You can justify it any way you want, and I'll happily do the justification game all day long. In fact, it's about time I started bringing back some of these sorts of video games. Where are they? Where's my video games? This one. Goodbye or goodbye.
Brilliant.
Mate, listen, what I do wonder though is if he's coming in, which he obviously is, then does that mean that Sonny's basically being sunset? He is going to go, right? There's no space for him and Richalison and, Yang and the other 15 and Decky. We've already got too many. So Sonny's probably going to go. If Mathys Tel, even if you include the loan fee, is going to be like 45 million quid, 40 million quid in total, then do we have to get 40, 50 million quid for Sonny? And do you think that the reason why we triggered the deal with Mathys Tel is maybe because there's been some like appetite signals from Saudi Arabia, and that Sonny, when you go back and think about Sonny's comments when he was away on international duty and he said, I don't really know where my future lies, but wherever I'm going to be, I'll give it my all. That to me is like a bit of a goodbye message. Do we think that we're going to get 50 million quid for Sonny then on the back of that?
I would think so. I mean, I can't imagine. I know there's a couple of reports going around that since 2022, 23, there's been 4 or 5 teams that have been after Sonny, and he's given zero signal or indication that he was interested at all. And now I think Ali Gold and a couple of other reporters have reported that now he's more interested in the project, shall we say. And so I can see, I mean, basically it's just been a case of as soon as he gives the head nod, somebody's going to make a bid for him. And I think it would be the best fit. I mean, I don't want to hold him to ransom. I wouldn't, Levy be Levy. Be like, oh, I want 60, I want 70 million, but I just don't think. I think 35, 40 million to help balance the books. And like you say, if the Mathys Tel thing ends up being, 45 million now, because we've already paid the 10 or so, 40, that's still going to be amortized over the remainder of the contract, right? So it's still only 10, maybe 12, 15 this year. So I still think it gives us a lot of room to move, no?
Well, not really, because if you're going to do that game, then you also have to think about all of the things that have been amortized in our previous purchases that are going to be paid for this summer. So, not knowing the specifics of what's owed up front, what's owed, all those deals, it's easier just to think
330, wasn't it? When they
I think we owe £260 million. £270 million as of last summer's accounts, and then Kieran Maguire said it was more like 320 or something. But that's obviously over the last 5 years, right? So, that's 60 million quid or whatever, right? So, per season. So, on that basis, but for me, it's just easier just to think of all of the transfers in like one lump sum, because otherwise you get into the weeds of the specifics of the amortization, and I don't have those to hand, nor do I know that which deals are done. So, right, I think it's easy just to think about the net spend sort of thing, And for me, I'm just like, well, so you get that news, and then on the same day, to a lot of people, it's to be honest, actually, it's a lot more people that are they're happy with the Tel deal for 65% of them than everyone in the comments. It seems like everyone in the comments is saying no, he's shit, but people in the poll said that they're happy with it.
Right.
But on top of that, mate, Manor Solomon's coming back for a looky-loo. And I'm like, what does that mean about Mbeumo? What does that mean about Eze? This is the names we really want to be seeing coming in. No one gives a fuck what happens to Solomon or Mathys Tel in reality, right? What we want is a big name to come in and to sort of kick our summer off. And Mathys Tel being the first name out of the traps is underwhelming, right? Or you're okay with it?
No, I wouldn't say it's underwhelming. Do you know what? What given the state of play at the moment, I really just need to let the dust settle and just see what happens. Like I know, for the sake of the show, we can obviously chat and hypothesize about it, but I just think there is so many. I think it's going to be one of those domino things. I think a couple of things have got to move, and then everything will start moving. I don't think the Club World Cup helps. But I can just see a world this summer, because people have been banding about silly money. And at the beginning, I wasn't going to believe it. And I still don't want to believe it. But then people keep on saying 200, 300 million. And I'm thinking, well, all right, if we really do want to kick on, we've been talking about Mbeumo, we've been talking about Eze, we're talking about Semedo. Like, is this really us actually going for it, or is this somehow secretly Paratici just spinning plates in the background? Because this is a Paratici thing. All of a sudden, there's more and more names being bandied about. No one quite knows what's going on. This has got Paratici vibes all over it. So I don't know. The one thing I will say, I think it doesn't hurt if what we've been told is true. We keep on getting told we're gonna fight on all fronts. If that's the case, then we clearly need a bigger squad than we've had. When you take into account the potential injuries to a couple of the players and the fact that they might be not just significant, but it might just be a case like with Van der Ven. He just might never be able to play 30, 35 league games a season. He might be 25 and a few cup games, and it just might be it. It might just be the way that Van der Ven. Van der Ven.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like the squad in general, we need more bodies. So I'm not opposed to Manor Solomon coming back, and Frank, as I say again, he needs to take a look at these guys. There's nothing wrong with him coming back, having a look at him in training, and I think he'll be able to say yes or no, and if needs be, get rid of him in this next window coming up. They are going to have to balance the squad. You're right, absolutely with the wingers, but I think it's worth letting him be patient, get an eye on everybody first, and then see. But as far as my thoughts generally on Manor Solomon, I kind of rated him. I thought he did all right before he got injured in terms of I thought he was bright, he was attacking, he was adventurous, something that I don't really see any of our wingers doing. So in that sense, I really do think...
Why was he loaned out, Drew? Why was he loaned out because of the politics? Not to get into the specifics of that, but like just the fact that he made his sort of like statements about that stuff. Was that like, the club can't have you around right now, it's bad for business sort of thing? It just look whatever, right? And again, don't want to get into because it's a contentious issue.
Yeah.
Or was it because he was injured and they said, "Oh, we can't have you around if you break down again on day one? Then you've taken up a squad spot and you're unreliable in terms of minutes availability." But then he goes to Leeds and he smashes out.
Absolutely smashed it. I would like to think I'm thinking it's the latter, to be honest with you, just because you can't really at this sort of level. I don't necessarily know that you can run the risk of having the player in the squad, then him go down, not be able to change it, then you're down a player again. So I can understand them sort of saying, go out, get your fitness. But when you do, when you the political kind of sprinkle on it, it does, we are who we are and he is who he is, and that's going on, then it does kind of make sense that maybe it was a out of sight, out of mind thing. But
just quickly on that note, I've got a couple of super chats, but not to get into politics. This shouldn't be involved in football. But if anyone that's watching that has people either in Iran or in Israel, I hope everyone's safe, because it's fucking wild what's going on. And I just wish everyone could be happy and try and tolerate each other a bit more. But it doesn't seem like that's the way the world's going. At the moment, it's a powder keg everywhere. Like half the world is at war with each other. It's fucking scary, man. Super scary stuff. Bart Anderson, new member of the show, mate. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate your loyalty, mate. Looking forward to meeting you on the next fan phoning show. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Tony, you got up, big Tone. Good to see you, mate.
What are we doing?
What are we doing here?
What are we doing here?
Pretty simple. What are we doing here? I don't fucking know, mate, to be honest. I went out this morning and did a video with Bugsy, and I was like, I've just got this feeling that it's going to be, Daniel Levy, seize the day, bro. Carpe diem. If you're making a move for Mbeumo and you think there's a chance, I respect it. Like, it's not your typical type of signing. And if he's going to come in and be our club record transfer, that will be 2 record transfer fees in 2 seasons, which most clubs, I don't think any club I can think of that have broken their own club's transfer record in 2 seasons running. It doesn't have to be him. It might be Semenyo. It might be Eze, whatever. But either way, let's hope that there's more. If you could get both of them done and a 6, we are cooking with gas. And then 3 hours later, a bit of Mathys tell, which I got no problem with. But I think a lot of the fan base is going to go into meltdown mode very, very quickly. And Super Spurs TV, my man, Blaine Devlin.
Big up, Blaine.
Brilliant, mate. Love you, man. You've gifted 10 Spurs Talk Show memberships out to 10. So whoever those 10 people are, if you have received one, then please send Blaine your thanks, and hopefully I'll get to meet you guys as well on the next fan phoning show. But Blaine, you're so generous, mate. Absolute sensational member of the community, buddy. Sensational. I'm just gonna,
this chat. Tell is so good. Tell is rubbish. I love you. Tell is so average. Here we go. Tell. Bugger off. Tell. It's just so.
Absolutely madness, mate. Madness.
What's your what are we thinking? The one name that really excited me when I did hear about it, I'll be honest with you, and it's not, I don't know, it's not a forward, it's not somebody that really gets you typically excited, but if we could score Jared Branthwaite, for me, that would be absolutely that would be the shirt. That would be the shirt I'd get. I think that guy is mustard, as the boys say. I know he's obviously
He's not as gifted pass. He's not like a cultured passer of the ball like a Romero is, right? So I think the question marks become But like, I think he's more composed. He's more cultured defensively. His blocks, his interceptions, his courage, his aerial discipline. The fact that he's 2-footed, he's ambipedal. He can play off the right and off the left equally well. To me, it makes a hell of a lot of sense. But 70 million quid for a centre back is a lot of money. It's a hell of a lot of money. I think the only person that will be of his age or around his age that would cost more money is that Pau guy from Barcelona that's like 130 million, who's 18. Right. So I think it would basically be like one of the top 3 or 4 centre-back transfers for someone under the age of 22 in the game. And I look, he's very accomplished. But in terms of now that you've gone and signed Mathys Tel, if you're going to sell Romero for 70 million, and that's what Tottenham want, and apparently there's been no buyers at that price point, then the question mark becomes, well, do you just go and shift that money into him, get it done, thanks very much, or do you try and siphon off some of that transfer fee to put towards a better 6, or to pay for the difference in Mbeumo and whatever else? And in so doing, then where do you go to get your centre-back from? And there are names out there that are not homegrown, that don't have the English tax, that won't cost you 70 million, that are just as exciting. You could go to Sporting and get Diamandi. I think he's quality. Palace are probably going to try and get him if Palace end up selling Guehi. I think Hincapie is another one, but he's left-sided, left-footed, so that's like you're going to have an imbalance there if you have Van der Ven and him playing. But the other consideration, though, is that if you're going to play a back 3 at times, if ever you do, then you need one of those back 3 to be someone that can move the ball forward and pass it with absolute excellence. And Romero's that guy. I think Romero's I think he's the best centre-back passer in the Premier League, and Branthwaite isn't. No chance. Branthwaite doesn't even get above 80% accuracy.
Yeah. I read yesterday that Levy, because Atletico won't pay any more than about 37 million pounds, was it 45 million euros or something like that?
For who, sorry?
For Romero, they just won't do it. They haven't got it. They only want to pay, peanuts. That was basically the signal that Levy was probably likely to try and start negotiations with Romero. And I was mulling over the fact yesterday. I know that there's been the tweet and there's been the sly dig, but it was such a cleverly worded statement that you could get away with putting your hands up and sort of saying, I was talking about the fact that football's a really hard sport, and those ups and downs and the things that'll always be in the way are like the injuries and all that sort of thing. And we toughed it out, me and the boys. So he did it. It was really clever. And I'm actually wondering whether he becomes the £250,000 barrier, the guy that you've been talking about that becomes the highest paid player, whether you think it's necessarily worth it now because of what he's done. Romero. Yeah. I think potentially... Honestly,
mate, I'm like, fuck him. Sorry.
I know, because I heard you this morning on your video.
No, it pisses me off, mate. I don't know these fucking people think they are. The badge on the front is always more important than the name on the back. I don't know who was advising him. It's not he doesn't speak English, right? So it's not him that's written that letter. And the fact that you've got it so carefully worded where you can only infer, but you can't absolutely go, well, that's exactly what you meant, even though we all know it's what he meant. Right. That's by his agent or by his social team or some geezer in his someone.
It's really weird because I kind of thought you'd appreciate that in its cleverness, and you'd find it. You kind of be like, yeah, he's giving it one to. Do you know what I mean? He's kind of putting it to him a little bit because it's almost like it's like a slightly veiled threat, but he's clearly signaling and has been.
Isn't he supposed to be like? I'm not afraid of anyone. I'm going to go and break my own toe just to prove everyone that I'm a nutcase tackler. That's the sort of guy that he is, right? Then why are you hiding behind inference? Just say what you think. And in so doing, get the fuck out of my club at the same time. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I appreciate him. I appreciate his... I appreciate his effort in the final, and I think he's a champion in the semi-finals and the quarter. I thought he was great against Frankfurt. I thought he was great against Bodo, and I thought he was a monster against
You've got to give him at least another year if nobody's going to come in and cough up the money, right? So you
and
got
I'll get behind him again. You know, I'm a giant flip flop,
Yeah,
mate. I'll
know.
forget about it. You know, as long as he doesn't fuck off. You know, you know what, mate? It's a World Cup year, though. You know, he won't be around in the last couple of weeks of the season. He'll be. Oh, I'm injured. What do you mean
World
you're
Cup
injured?
year, he's going to play about 20 games.
We're in the Champions League final, Rombob. Yeah, but Argentina are playing in America in June. For me, I'm just like, I don't like. It's the second time he's done it, mate. Second time he's done it, and he's talking about, like, when he's saying obstacles. Let's sort of read between the lines here. He's obviously going up at the chairman, but he's basically saying the context is that we're not as good as we could be because our chairman isn't as devoted to the footballing side of the business, right? Or is Romero as devoted as he can be? Is he as perfect and as polished as he could be? I'd say absolutely fucking not. Right? He didn't turn. When the World Cup was in Saudi Arabia, he was magically vanished for the 3 weeks before the World Cup started. And as soon as they all got together for the pre-World Cup friendlies, he was fine. Right? No, he gets injured. He gets injured unnecessarily by being a donut. Also, let's not forget he got a red card unnecessarily, being a stupid bozo in the Milan last 16 game in the Champions League, right? Like, I don't forget these things. So if you're going to point fingers about people not taking their role at the club seriously enough, point one finger, three are pointing back at you, Christian. You know, I'm saying, if he stays, I'll get behind him. And if he signs a new contract and he's not club's highest earner, at least he ticks that fucking box for me, and I can go. Well,
you can, the Sean Butler bingo. There we go. That one's done. Nice. Thank you very much.
But listen, I think a lot of people that are okay with that behaviour are only okay with it because it suits the narrative. But I would say be consistent. Be consistent. If you're okay with anyone doing, then you should be okay with him doing that about the manager. And if it was Ange and you were an Ange in guy, right? If the players have got free room to say whatever they feel about anyone at the club at any time in the media, then hold that energy for if they were to ever dare to do it to a manager or dare to do it to their teammates or anything else. It's either okay behaviour or it isn't okay behaviour. Doesn't matter just because he happens to be saying the things that you feel about the chairman. And I'm not saying it's not okay, because I don't necessarily share the same appetite for resentment towards our owner as a lot of people do. I'm saying it's not okay because you're an employee of the football club and you need to know your place. Shut up and do your fucking job. Thoughts?
I don't understand how people think you're Levy in. I just don't get it.
I mean, I'm not leaving it. I know. He's my chairman, but I'm not leaving it.
He's my chairman. My club.
Got a few super chats, mate. Let me just get these done, and then I'll let you call them out for me. Sean loves Angela, Pamela, Sandra, and Rita, but he thinks signing Tell is just a little bit sweeter. Big up, Sean and Drew. Big up to you, Blaine. Appreciate you, mate. I didn't see Helga in there, mate. You could have squeezed Helga in there somewhere. What do you think, mate? Do you think? Is Daniel Levy going to let us down this summer? Having said all what I've just said, is Daniel Levy going to come up trumps and get us something for us all to get behind and go? All right, that's a fucking decent window. Fair enough.
I'm questioning whether Levy is calling all of the shots at the moment, because normally his name is at the bottom of everything when it comes to hirings, firings, all that sort of shenanigans. So the fact that it was a board decision, the fact that, when Thomas Frank was announced, it wasn't, let's go again, Daniel Coyes, we've got our Tottenham back. The fact that he seems to be in the background, I'm just wondering how much is him and how much is maybe Carrington coming in. And like we sort of mentioned or discussed before, I don't know if it was on the show or backstage, the fact that, maybe the Lewis family are starting to wonder where their money's at, essentially, or why they're not maybe making as much money as they could, or why he seems to be doing the obligatory cock block. So I don't know. I would like to think if all the murmurings are true, I really genuinely hope we get 200 to 300 million dumped on the team. a couple of people out that we genuinely know that we don't need, a couple of people in that really surprise people, and like really genuinely actually battle on four fronts like we keep on getting told that we as a club should be doing, because it's really starting to get old now. So either put your money where your mouth is, or I'm going to stop buying these fucking tracksuit bottoms with your fucking cock and ball on it. Got 5 pairs of these bloody things. No more.
They're missing a trick, mate. They should, like in the away kit, they've moved the badge from here to here. They should move the on the trousers you buy. They should move it right above you.
Right down the. I tell you what, right? Like, I went and got
bigger than yours.
Right. So after the Europa League, I went onto the shop and I tried to get myself a shirt, and they rule out of bloody shirts, which I was really annoyed at. So I've got this. I got this one.
Nice.
Anyway, this fitted one, which are really nice. Everyone, you can go to the Spurs shop and get these, or New Era, lovely. And then to celebrate, I've basically got another one, except the cock and the ball is a little bit bigger. That's it. But I can walk around now and say my cock and ball is bigger.
Everyone likes a couple of extra centimetres, let's be entirely honest. Right?
You know what? I don't even think it's that generous, to be honest with you, but thank you. Thank you.
Chad the Bolt, thank you very much for the super chat. You didn't say anything, mate, but appreciate you for putting it in. Either way, mate, appreciate you, buddy. Good to see you. Hope you're okay. Nige Pure Coy, big up, and big up Sean and Drew. Question: do you think we will get this monster 6? What do you reckon, mate? We're going to get a 6? We are going to get a 6, aren't we? We're going to get someone for sure. He's already said he wants a 6. Well, he hasn't said it. In fact, question: I'd like you to answer this question, and then extension of that. Is it a little bit weird that we haven't got any kind of communication from Frank yet?
Nah, he's on holiday, isn't he? He's not going to do it over Zoom.
He can fucking put a tweet out, can he?
Nah, no, he wants to. His first impression, he wants to make it. Do you know what I mean? He wants to be the headmaster. I mean, he's a teacher. He's not going to do anything like that, I don't think. I can't see him on Twitter just being like, "Can't wait to get started." You know,
or just a picture of him on a sun lounger with like fully coys.
Right. You know,
I'd fall in love with him if he did that. Fall in love.
That's true. But no, I just think he's. I've watched a couple of his videos. I've watched how he holds himself, his demeanor. I mean, he seems very, very personable and very friendly, but I also think he does have a kind of a stern side. And I just think he wants, like I said, he wants the first impression not to be anything other than I'm here to actually like really do this job, because I think he's probably on the outside looking in. He's obviously got. This is the one thing, right? Even though he's not as brash as Ange, and even though he doesn't have this big kind of demeanor, whether you liked it or not, what he must have is supreme confidence in himself to take this much of a step up.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the video that he did with the high performance, and then also the video he did with having dinner with Gary Lineker.
I must be the only Tottenham fan that hasn't watched that high performance podcast.
Oh,
that guy's got that podcast has had so much fucking PR in the last week.
Oh, absolutely. I think it was Jay Harris, the guy that used to report on Brentford, that now reports on Tottenham. I think he's with The Athletic. Really, really good. Quite a good journal. I like him. He's put a couple of stories out about it, and that's how I found that one. And just what his sort of set of stipulations were for taking the step up. He must have had so many guarantees, and the fact that he's kind of, gone over Europa Conference League, gone over Europa League, he's actually going to be getting in the pool with the big boys right out the gate. And he's obviously sat there and gone, bring me my coaching staff and I'll have no problem implementing my style with only 2 training days a week, because that's how it's going to go. And I'm sorry to keep harping on about it. I know it's a couple of times I mentioned it, but I think it's imperative that these guys just get on board. Do we get a number 6? The question for me would be, could we put the money to use in other areas that would take us to another level quicker? I'm honestly not entirely sure, but by the same token, I don't know what 6 there is out there, because I know the Paulinho thing. I like him as a player, but he really is just an enforcer that stops things and then gets the ball to somebody else to progress.
Mate, I feel like the Polinia story is fan-driven. I haven't seen a single link to Polinia.
Right,
It's just,
right.
I remember speaking, I was on Sav's show, and Sav and I were having a... Yeah, I genuinely, I would never take credit for anything because there's no such thing as original thought. But I genuinely do remember Sava and I were having a chat, and we were talking about the Tell thing. This was a couple of months ago, and I was like, I don't know, like, 50 million quid. If why don't we go and raid them for someone else? He went like, who? I was like, Polinia. And then he was like, fuck yeah. And then from there, we just carried. Yeah, that's why I'm glad you did that, mate, because I was going to say Bio Spliffix is having a bit of a meltdown. Good man, Drew. Good man. There you go, Byro, mate. Never
just
tell
for you, buddy.
I left that up for you, buddy. I left that up to hope that Drew was going to see it. But
we do things for you. The people
you,
out there, the Spurs Talk Show is for you.
You. Yeah, no, I feel like the Polinia thing, there's absolutely no noise about that at all anywhere. No, that's literally just something that the fans all want. But it's not going to happen.
Who's the Brentford six?
I mean, Norgard plays in the sort of more of a defensive role for them. Who's quality, but I don't think we're gonna. There you go. He's coming up. He's doing it for you. We're doing it for you guys. We're doing it for you guys. Polinia is similar to Bentancur, isn't he? Not bad competition, but also not a monster six. No, he's a monster six. He's not somebody. I think
somebody also mentioned Belieber in the chat, who I think is an absolute monster, but I think he's more of an 8, and I don't see. I'd say 8. I think he's more of a box to box, and I don't see Brighton letting him go for any less than what they let all their midfielders go for, which is about 100 million, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. He's a kid as well, so everyone wants, someone to come in that's more mature. I don't know. I mean, you could go and get.
Do you think he really needs to be somebody? I mean, if we're going to do this, even Mbumo hasn't had Champions League exposure before. Tell maybe a little Champions League exposure. If we were to be lucky enough to get Eze too, no Champions League exposure, hasn't even had European football. So if we are going to go out, I guess the monster in Monster 6 for me has to be somebody tried and tested, been there and done it, a couple of seasons in Europe as well. I harp on at you about he's got to have 55 to 60 games in his legs, Sean. You know what I mean? But like one of those guys that legit has been there. Like I would have taken, I mean, I know it was probably never going to happen, but somebody like a Joshua Kimmich, I'd have taken all day long.
Course.
Do you know what I mean? Somebody absolutely right. There's somebody, I don't know who's the Joshua Kimmich that isn't Joshua Kimmich.
I mean, maybe you could go to get like Fratesi. Inter's got the experience in the Champions League. Maybe you could go to. I mean, he's not even a 6, but you could. Edison, obviously, he's an 8 that can definitely play in the 6 role. But he's also got the passing range. He's a bully on the ball, and he can carry the ball forward. But he still probably has those. I don't know him. Obviously, I haven't watched him like super close to know whether he has those same Bentancur type tendencies where you're sniffing out opportunity more so than you're sniffing out risk. Someone like Polinia is just brilliant because he knows what he's not and he knows what he is. And he's not trying to be someone he isn't. You're not going to see him pinging 40-yard passes. You're not going to see him carrying the ball forward, taking players on. He'll just win the ball back and then hand it over. And I just wonder whether or not, like if you're looking for someone that's got the Champions League experience on the regular, then you're going to have to go and get someone a little bit older that isn't really doing it, at their own club. And if you're going to go to a Champions League club and try and take their 6, it's going to be a hard sell for where Tottenham are at. So I just don't think that's going to happen. But you could go somewhere like Morten Højlund at Sporting. He's got Champions League experience. He's an absolute baller. Love that guy. And he's Danish, right? So there's a chance there that there might be that kind of connection. But Sporting hold everybody to ransom. And if they are going to honour the gentleman's agreement that was given to Gyökeres last summer, where they're going to let him go for like 60 to 70 million euros, they're not going to do the same favour to anyone that's coming in for Højlund. It will be more like what happened with Pedro Porro, drawn out, protracted, exhausting, and something that is going to wear us all out. just for that maybe not to happen in the long run. I think if we are going to get a 6, I think it's going to be someone that's probably more on the younger up and coming side, maybe like a Hugo Larsson, or maybe someone, like a Hayden Hackney, something like that. And I think that we'll be throwing a lot of risk at that and saying, well, let's see how good you are. And maybe this year is not the year to be judging the Champions League effort because of all of the variables and the unknowns that you've already just mentioned.
That's kind of what I thought. But this is what makes me think that Levy isn't necessarily pulling all the strings, because if he was, I feel like right now we'd have heard the story of Mbeumo, that we tried to give him 20 million and a horse and cart, and we've been laughed out of Northwest or North London. So the fact that we've already gone in with something that resembles a strong bid, maybe they are, or I guess I don't necessarily know that we have, but the intention, or at least what is being reported, is that we seem to be very serious with the number we're going in at. If we do that throughout the summer, and it is genuinely like no more games and no more kind of trying to do these half deals, and maybe Levy gets out of his own way, or maybe he doesn't have a choice and he's being dragged out of the way. I don't know. It's going to be exciting one way or another. Especially
one thing you can say is that, to your point there, we didn't fuck around with Mbeumo. We put in a bid that is above United's. United's had 2 bids that have been rejected, and we've come in and gone straight to 70 minutes, straight in
as
at
soon as we
record
could.
Transfer numbers.
Right.
As soon as we could.
Yeah, not the second window, not the last day of the second window, a week into the season. We've done it now. And I think maybe that's a Frank thing. He's gone, listen, I'll come, I'll do this, but you need me more than I need you right now. I'm quite happy where I am. I love it where I am. He's already said that,
Yeah. I don't disagree, mate. I don't disagree at all. It's interesting, right? Even if Mbeumo does go to United, then what we can take from what we've seen with the Mbeumo deal is that Tottenham aren't doing the usual thing. What do you want? 70 million? Well, we'll start you off with 25 and add-ons. No, okay, well, I'll think about it for a week, come back with 35. No, okay, I'll come back a week later. That gets frustrating and exhausting. So at least the first sign of an attempt to sign someone that is of game-changing, needle-moving ilk is we're not fucking about. And I think that has to be, even if it's unsuccessful, it has to be not applauded, but acknowledged that there's some sort of changing of the guard. And maybe that's down to Vinny, maybe that's Paratici and Johan Lang, maybe that's a demand that, as you said, that Thomas Frank placed on it. So
I think he must. Yeah, he's got to have said, look, I at least need a couple of bodies for pre-season. Like, you can't, if you're going to expect me to do what you expect me to do, then you can't leave me hanging out to dry. Like, I think he's obviously, the reports, or there was a couple of people that mentioned, I can't even think who it was because I wanted to give him props. But basically, essentially, Thomas Frank is looking at this squad at Tottenham. And even if we, as a fan base, don't necessarily see it sometimes, apparently he's standing there rubbing his hands together and salivating, because this is such a step up in terms of the quality of footballer that he's dreaming about the things that he can do with this caliber of player as opposed to the caliber he's had. And that's no disrespect to Brentford. They're a fantastic football team. They play some really good football at times. But that's testament to what he's been able to instill there. But it's like we all say, it's got to be patience, dude. And we're all pivot, no patience, right?
100%, mate. Lift, not shift. Is that?
Lift, not shift.
Faz Radfar says, Mbeumo, Eze, and Tell, strong window or more? Yeah, I'd fucking take that. I would, but I think we still need a midfielder to come in, because with Bissouma and Bentancur. Bissouma's not consistent enough. Bentancur in the 6 isn't good enough in a 6. And are
you of the mind that probably it's nailed on that Kyle Walker-Peters comes back, because it just solves two issues, right? The homegrown quota and the club training.
I think he'll just sit on the bench for 80% of the games. But
I can see him do a Carabao run, or a couple of FA Cup games, that sort of thing. Which I think he ain't got a problem. He wants to come back and just be a part of something.
And that's kind of what I don't like about him. The fact that
you don't want a bench warmer.
I want people that want to fight for the badge, that also take their career seriously. And when Southampton got relegated 2 seasons ago, and Lavia jumped ship, and there was like 2 or 3 others that all jumped. Who was that? Who was the? Was it Batu? Who was the centre half? Who was left-footed, left-sided centre half that also left? He went to Germany. I forget. Someone in the comments will tell me. There was like all
Bella
of
Kotcha. Bella Kotcha.
That's it. Bella Kotcha. Nice word, mate. Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have dismissed you there. I was just, the comments will sort it out. No, we'll just fucking ask Drew first.
No, hang on a minute. Hang on. Hold my name on back of shirt or something. Hold my beer. Hold whatever. I got this.
Yeah,
I got this. Bottle of ketchup.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, bottle of ketchup. Yeah, he went off, and then but he went down with the ship. Kyle Walker-Peters, and then he came back up, and then he looks like he's going to go down again with the ship or come to Tottenham. For me, it's like,
so what do we do with that then? Because we got to do. Can you? I don't quite know the situation with it. I had somebody text me something the other day. I should probably look into it because they explained what was needed. I mean, I'm pretty sure we got to do something with club trained. So do we not have to?
You can't put out. It doesn't. It's not as essential as everyone thinks it is, because it's just, if you want to have an entirely full max squad, then you have to have 4 players that are club trained and homegrown. And if you don't, I think we only have 1 at the moment in Brandon Austin. Then if you don't have the other 3, then you basically can't put out a full match day squad. But it's not really a problem, because the full match day squad essentially is like 25 players or whatever. So you're not going to need 13 or 14 players on the bench. It's just without them that you're limited to, like, 21 players or whatever if you don't have those numbers.
That gives me 2 goalkeepers on the bench vibes. Just in terms of, it's a contradiction. We've been told that we're going to be competitive in the Champions League, and then we can't fill the quota that's needed to get a full squad in there. So we just go in there with the 23 instead. And that just like, if this was Ange, or if this was this scenario had happened last year, it'd be like, oh, what's he doing? Isn't it? What the club doing? But we're just kind of accepting it this time round. Like, does that? Oh, maybe I'm making mountains out of molehills. Maybe I just need to get this Ange thing out of my head. Oh my god!
I don't
get it out, Sean.
Get
out of him. Oh, just Ange, get out of him.
Yeah, fucking die on that hill. Die on that hill, bro. Die on that hill.
No. Yeah, I mean, if we end up having to go, because I'm all about just consolidating. Do you know what I mean? I just want consolidation. I just want us to be stronger next year. And if that looks like, honestly, if that looks like qualification to the Europa League at worst, then I'm all right with it. Obviously, I'd like us to do better, but I just want us to be steadily punching our weight again, rather than going in thinking that we're there and just getting knocked out again and then seeing stars. I kind of got boxer analogies,
I'm pretty
sure. We're in the corner at the moment. We're kind of getting patched up, and
what?
Depending on.
What I'm going to do, mate, is I'm just going to go through these super chats, and then I'm going to get up last season's Champions League points as a thing, like the league table, and then look at the various pots that we got to come up against. And then I think actually the Champions League draw is not until later, but on Wednesday the fixture list comes out, which should be interesting. But let me get these done. Then we can play the game and see whether we can finish 9th to 24th, and see how many points we need and whether we can get them. Chad the Bolt says, Sean, Nathan Collins versus Branthwaite stats are interesting. Mate, Nathan Collins is a baller. He's just not got a sexy name. He's Irish, he's ginger-ish, and his name's Nathan Collins. If his name was like Nathaniel Collini, then and he was a good-looking fella, then people will be going, yeah, I'll take him. But the fact that he plays for Republic of Ireland, no disrespect, I'm half Irish, but people don't want him. People aren't interested in him. Good player though. So that was Nige, wasn't it? Sorry, thanks. No, that wasn't Nige. That was Chad. And then Nick Lazy 8 says, "Oh, I think he's put in 2 because I think mate, you paid $5 more just because you misspelt in the first one. I love that about you, bro. Brilliant. Money to burn." Kusi is fantastic, but he ain't coys. On your bike, mate. Via con Dias. Love that, mate. Love that. Have a good day. What does Via con Dias mean? Life without God? Something like that. What it means? I don't know.
Damn, that's deep.
Well, Via is life, isn't it? Con is con with or life with? I don't know. Whatever. Via con Dias. I like it, though. Very nice, mate. And Paul Watkins gifted one SpursTalkShow membership. Thank you very much, Paul. Whoever received it, make sure you say thank you to Paul. Appreciate you, mate. Very nice of you. Drew, I'm going to ask you a question.
Big up. Yep.
And then whilst you're answering, I'm going to quickly find these things I want to show you. What's the most important position for you to see us like right now? Now Mathys Tell's coming in. Here we go is out. Right, it's all done. And just for that, on that basis, by the way, the poll is at 1,300, nearly 1,250 votes or something, and there's 67% of people are happy. You wouldn't know it looking at the chat, would you? You wouldn't know.
You would not.
But what's the most important position that you want to see next? Is it's going to be a winger, or is it like an outgoing? Are you happy to see? Would you take the next one to be out the door, Richalison? Cock block gone. No more cock block.
Not if we get Mbeumo. You know, Mbeumo was responsible for like 202 crosses last season. Something ridiculous. Like they're in very, very dangerous places. And Solanke doesn't get quite the credit he deserves, although it's still only something ridiculous, like 7 or 8 goals in 150 games with his head. So he's still not. I know he did one last year that was very, very good. I know, and he got around Dan Burn for a Newcastle goal that was very sort of
he scored a
very Kane-esque. Yeah. So I mean, I think if you're going to bring somebody in who not only has the ability to beat his man regularly, but then also put in dangerous crosses, and Richarlison's MO is typically getting on the end of crosses and being very good at it. I just think you're kind of missing a trick. And I think you persevere potentially for at least 6 months and see if you can get something out of that. Because if you don't have to replace Richarlison, you can definitely get an Eze or somebody else. So I think it's worth giving that a try. But if you end up having to sack off Mbeumo because he's still got heart-shaped eyes for Man U, then I think you could probably risk getting rid of Richarlison for somebody more creative in the left side and the 10 to compensate and get another forward. That would be what I would do.
I actually think it's a fascinating take there, mate. I genuinely think that maybe if you've got Mbeumo coming in, 100%, I think it's a worthwhile point. Then you're going to need someone to put the ball in the back of the net. And Brentford, I think they missed out on. I think Mbeumo's stats. I said this in a video the other day. I think he had 5 or 6 xG higher than what actually materialized from the chances he created.
Yeah,
mostly
people
from
not finishing their dinner. Yeah,
people aren't finishing their dinner. But I want to ask you this, mate. This is the Champions League from last season. Okay. Now, this was the first season with the league table formats. This is all the sample size we've got to go on. So if we want to get a chance of getting into the quarterfinals, or the last 16 rather, then we have to finish somewhere from 15 points, 11 points, right? So we need 3 wins and 2 draws, or 4 wins. 3 wins or 4. Sorry, let's just call it 4 wins for argument's sake. 4 wins from 8. So a 50% success rate, yeah? And this is.
I reckon we could do that.
Well, this is.
Have a look at the bottom of the table. Let's get down here.
Oh, hang on. Okay, what's it? The bottom of the table.
Yeah, is that right at the bottom? Let's have a look. Who's right down there? Because this is probably from 25 to 36 is at least, you would think at least 60, 75% of them are going to be back, right? Because they're still in their respective leagues.
You're only going to play 2 or 3 of them. In fact, I've literally got the pots here, the seedings, right? So if I get rid of this, just know that we need 4 wins, right? We need 4 wins, but here's the draw. So we're in pot 3. So we will play. The pots don't matter because you're going to get 2 teams regardless. But you're not going to be playing anyone from England. Your own.
Right.
Yeah. So Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, Inter, Dortmund or Barcelona. If you get any of them away from home, are we saying nil point?
Well, you are going to get at least one of them, right? Probably.
But yeah, I think that's probably how it works, actually. Yeah. So you get 1 at home, 1 away. Can you beat any of those teams at home?
I'd
Dortmund,
fancy
maybe.
our chances against Dortmund if we were on it. If we've got, let's just say, can we just blanket for argument's sake where he's hit the ground running, the team is singing from the hymn sheet, like we're not doing this up and down. Like the blanket is we're the Tottenham we expect to be, and everything's good, right?
Yeah.
I fancy us against Dortmund on our day. I would maybe sneak a draw away at Inter. Don't fancy much against Madrid or Munich
or Barcelona.
No.
Okay, so we'll park that one.
Yep.
Let's reverse engineer it. We need 12 points.
Yep. Okay.
Let's start in pot 4. Is there anyone in pot 4 that you think, home or away, that we're going to struggle against? We can't play Newcastle.
No.
I think we should be okay against Copenhagen. Krevner, we should be okay.
Yep. Monaco, we're okay.
Monaco are doing bits, by the way. Monaco's transfers, they're doing bits. Galatasaray, you don't want to get them, do you?
I don't want to get them, but I still think we could do them.
Do you want to get Celtic away from home? We don't want to get Celtic away from home either.
Oh, whatever. They play handball.
All right, so let's say we can get, let's optimistically 6 points there.
Yep.
Pot 3.
PSV.
You don't want to get Napoli.
Don't want Napoli. You don't want
Sporting. We should be okay, right?
Yeah.
We can get out of this fucking league, mate. We can get out of this league.
Yeah, I think we can.
It's just pot one's tough, and pot 2, I don't know. I think that you don't mind Bruges.
Do you know? To be honest with you, I don't mind a torn apart, revamped Leverkusen with Eric Ten Games in charge. Don't mind that.
Yeah, exactly.
Benfica. I mean, I like Benfica. You know, they're a giant of yesteryear. I love that. I give Benfica so much respect. I used to play them on Sensible Soccer back in the day. But I don't know about now. Atalanta, that's one of those kind of any givens, I think. Villarreal, any given. I don't like the idea of going to Juventus much. Eintracht Frankfurt, I mean, we've had them on toast. Club Bruges, I mean, they still got your boy, fucking Gift Orban up front. I don't think.
my boy, what are we saying here?
Your chairman, he's got to be your boy and all.
You're the Christian Romero of the fan base, you are, mate.
Yeah.
Sly little digs coming in. Pot shots at me. Fantastic.
Again, you give myself a red card. Yeah,
I think I reckon we can get out of it.
Yeah. So we can get out, so we can qualify. So what does that give us? That gives us another 80 million guaranteed, pretty much. Is that what we're saying? Is that how that works out?
Well, no, I think if basically you get 80 million if you get out of the group, basically, yeah. Euros. Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad for 8 days or 8 games work. I'll take it. But yeah, I think genuinely, if he can get everybody on board. Well, what's your thoughts? Do you read too much into this? Oh, they all loved Ange. Like, you know, Cuti Romero's going to follow Ange wherever he goes. When he goes back to New South Wales, Cuti will be the first one signing up. Or do you think Frank's going to be able to walk in and just say, look, I get it, but we're doing this now, and they'll be like, all right, because we're professionals and we get paid to do this.
Of course, mate. Of course. It's Harry Redknapp smashed it out of the park on that interview when he said, "Oh, this is what players do." You know, They always at the same time. Where if you were so gutted that he left, why didn't you put in? Why weren't you're responsible for why he got fired? By the way, you didn't put the shift in, did you? So if you cared that much about him, you'd be a little bit less talkative now and a little bit more, work rate back then. Right. But listen, mate, we're gonna round it off, buddy. I've got to jump downstairs for din-dins, and then take the dog out as well. But I might very well be back later on this evening. Drew, I want to say a massive thank you, mate. Anything you want to plug? Any socials or anything I need to?
What we doing here? What we doing? I typically have my show on Friday, Spurs Diehards TTID. Although next week, I actually think I'm not going to be doing it because Drew Ziller has decided to get back on a horse. He's been a DJ for the better part of 25, 30 years. And so His friends are
Wow.
coming in. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody knows who Chase and Status are, but
Cool.
Chase and Status are playing in Kansas City. I've got some friends that are doing support for them. And then those friends and I are then doing after party. And then so I'm basically getting back on a horse. So I will have some socials soon, which will be linked to my DJing. So yeah, watch this space. But yeah,
Amazing,
as far as Spurs stuff, pleasure being on here. Everybody remember, smash the like before you leave and put your shoes on. Check your subscriptions. Also get over to Football Inc. because Sean and Johnny do the Lord's work over there as well. And I'm sure they're going to have loads of stuff coming out. Thank you once again. It's a pleasure. Big up to the Irish Hotspur as well, because I also do pre-games there, which I miss. So let's get some football going soon, shall we? And come on, you Spurs.
You, mate. Thanks so much, Drew. Thanks to everyone that's been watching. I think that just to quickly round off, the poll finished at... where's it gone? It's disappeared. I haven't got it anymore. I think it finished at about 67%. So there's more tell-ins than the chat was hilarious today. Every other comment was Tell's fucking shit. Tell's a fucking baller. Tell's one for the future. Tell should never have come. Leave you out. Typical Tottenham fan base. Nothing like a good old-fashioned meltdown. We'll see you on the next one, guys. I'll be back later on tonight probably for another one of these bad boys. So I'll see you later on. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the super chats as well. Like, subscribe, and comment. And also, if you want this stuff, it's on Spotify. Link in the description. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.